We are officially up and running here on the...
All right.
I ain't fucking falling for that again. On episode 16, Train to Busan, with our special guest star, Yuri Matsu, our friend. Our real close friend and buddy, Kurt Henning.
Hello.
Yes. So...
Cool.
That's the podcast. Thanks for coming by, everybody. And
See you at school on Monday.
I know, right? So yeah, I guess the first thing that we're gonna do here is the nerd news. So, I think I forgot to tell Kevin about this. Well, I guess he's watched it before, but do you have anything to talk about, Kevin? That's a news article.
Not really an article. I don't know if you went over this already, but Microsoft trying to buy out Discord.
No, I haven't heard that at all.
$10 billion. Which can be scary because, Microsoft bought out Skype, and now Skype is dead. And Microsoft buys out all these companies and tries to integrate it into Windows and everything and tries to make it better, and they end up making it worse. So it's I really hope Discord doesn't get bought out by Microsoft, because that could suck. Microsoft could mess it up. You guys love your precious capitalism, and you see where it got us to.
I'm a capitalist, Jonesy. I'm like, isn't that everyone? What are you talking about? Yeah, they actually, Microsoft,
that sucks.
They started that failed Twitch alternative, Mixer or whatever. Not Mixer, I think that's a fucking...
Yeah, Mixer.
Is that what it is?
It
okay.
was Mixer, yeah.
And they paid all that money to do exclusive rights to I forget who it was, wasn't it Ninja and a bunch of other people, and then they folded, and
Shroud.
It's well, thanks for the money, see you later, dummies. Go back to Twitch.
Yeah, they made out bandits on it. I know Shroud got something his sign-on bonus was something 10 million or something, and it only lasted for a year and a half or 2 years. And then he's well, thanks for the 10 million, time to go back over to Twitch.
Which is when you think about it, Bill Gates, he could just fund he could do 50 XFLs and it wouldn't matter to him. A bunch of failed bullshit, it would just be whatever. But hopefully he doesn't for Discord, because it's a legit product, so hopefully it doesn't get ruined.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, bummer.
What do you think, Matt? Do you have a news article this week?
Yeah, so speaking of capitalism, my nerd news is the On Cinema Oscar special will be returning this year. But
Jesus,
you have to pay for it.
Really?
What? Yeah, because I guess Adult Swim cut ties with them or didn't want to pay for them anymore.
Really?
So yeah, they're resorting to crowdfunding now to continue doing their content. So
right.
Pay $20 to watch the Oscar special, pay $40 to watch the Oscar special in the next season of On Cinema. So, which I'll do just because I love those guys.
Yeah.
And, the stuff they provide is worthy of money in my opinion. But
it's kind
a
of
bummer.
Weird that Adult Swim would not have that, but they would have on a bunch of other shit that they have on. That's worse than more shocking. Then I don't know if it's even a shock thing. Maybe it's just they didn't deem it funny, but I don't understand that. I felt that was kind of Adult Swim was built on kind of a lot of stuff like that. That's off humor.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We'll have to do some sleuthing, and maybe we'll have the answer next episode, or maybe we won't. I don't know.
You get a random email. Steak Belmont, we saw your stream, and we would like to provide you with the answer.
This is the prince from fucking Pakistan. I need 5,000 rubies to give you the fucking answer. I'm dude, fuck yeah, it's right in my email. Well, I have a couple stories here, but I'll pick the best one. Since you guys had two downer stories, kind of, I won't pick the shit one I had. Actually, would have two shit ones. Okay, so here's a third one that I had. So I guess this depends on what you think about this, because this could be shit, it could not be shit. But Sylvester Stallone like shared recently that he has a story treatment for like kind of like a Cobra Kai-esque Rocky prequel series. So he wants it ideally to be like 10 episodes for a few seasons to like bring these characters into fruition. And the treatment that he wrote out that he put on like Twitter or Instagram, like that he took a picture of and shared, has like 50 fucking grammatical errors in it. So it's like it's okay, so the 60s, the moon landing, the sexual revolution, the New Left, hippie movement, the Cold War, the Civil Rights movement, the Vietnam disaster, the ascension of President John F.
Billy Joel song? It's like Watergate.
Well, he's talking up. This is like the setup for, I guess, the where it's when it's supposed to take place.
Oh no, wait. What else do I have to say?
So, ascension of President John F. Kennedy instead of assassination. I was like, what? The Cuban Missile Crisis, or the Cuban Missile CRISE crisis. But I was kind of
because Sylvester Stallone's a good writer. Like he won an Oscar for being Rocky. Like what happened to him?
Well, I'm sure. I think I don't know. I'm not trying to defend him. I just think it's kind of like whatever. I guess we'll. Yeah, I don't. All caps. The moon landing, the sexual revolution, the new. It's like that's what it says on the page. All caps. Like he wrote all caps. Like he didn't put it in all caps. He said all caps and circled those things. But like, I don't know. Maybe that wasn't a good. Actually, let me go with this other story. This story is that Bruce Campbell's going to host like a virtual screening of Evil Dead 2 and do like a live commentary.
That's
great.
Oh,
nice.
So that's actually April 24th. You can head over to the official event page, which is you just go to geektyrant.com and it's one of the articles. You can sign up and like I think like they have different packages. Like one is like I think the cheapest is I don't know what the cheapest one is. Oh, just like $25 to just watch the live stream and video on demand of like him doing his thing. They had other things, like one was there was only one of these, but this was the ultimate VIP. It was $2,500 and it sold out, but it included like a poster, a 2-minute meet and greet with him, and a chainsaw autographed by Bruce on the live stream. I was like, but yeah, $25, I don't know, that's not a bad price to watch Bruce Campbell legit, like watch the movie, make fun of it, talk about it, pause it and stuff, because he's already done like a commentary, but that's like 2 commentaries on that movie. Hell yeah. Apparently he already did one for the first one, but I didn't know about it and it's already over, and I don't know, I'm sure it's up somewhere, but oh shit.
His commentaries are always great.
Yeah. If anybody hasn't seen Bubba Hotep, watch that movie and then watch it again with the commentary, because he goes through the movie as Elvis in character the whole time. It's probably it's one of the most ridiculous like in character things ever, because he pretends to take a call from Priscilla at one point and say he's going to bring home milk, and I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's awesome. Oh shit, it looks like Godzilla vs. King Kong was nominated for one of the movies for us to watch. But it won't be the next movie we're watching, because the next movie we're watching is fucking Midnight Meat Train. Nominated by Wisey last night, because we were joking about it, and he was like, Midnight Meat Train, and I was like, fuck.
Wait a minute, that's an actual movie?
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
Because we were talking about that movie, and like, I was like, I thought that movie was a gay porno when we saw the trailer for it, and then fucking like, well, not when I saw the trailer, when I heard the title, and then fucking he was like, redeem points for it, and I was like, Okay. But it has Jason Statham in it, so it might be good.
I've seen it.
Have you? Okay. Well. Did you see it because you thought it was a gay porno?
No, I saw it because it has the most ridiculous title.
Oh, okay.
How can you not see that?
Well, I did not see it, so I guess not. It wasn't that hard for me not to see it. Okay, so let's move on from nerd news to recommendation nation.
Recommendation nation. Ding ding ding.
We will defer to our guest here to see if he has anything to recommend. Do you have anything to recommend?
I do not.
Okay. So Kevin didn't do his homework he didn't know he had, so he's fucking out of here. That was your two-step. That was your virtual, or not virtual, but like podcast verification. I'm like, click all the buses. So Matt, you go ahead. Tell us what you got.
Well, speaking of King Kong versus Godzilla,
my
recommendation nation this week is not that movie.
Oh, nice.
It's Shin Godzilla. Which
is that where he's like really tiny?
No, it's like
no, I'm just kidding.
He's
like, ah!
It's like, ah!
Yeah, I've heard that movie's really good. I haven't gotten around to it, like to watch that movie.
It's the greatest Godzilla movie of all time.
So it's like, okay. They actually made a good one.
It was Japan basically saying, after, what was it? It was
the first one.
Godzilla, the first Godzilla came out here. It was Japan saying, okay, we're going to release our own Godzilla.
Yeah, we're going to come back to,
basically do, like, an origin story, I think.
And it's awesome because, like, the Godzilla, like, design is really, really cool. And he goes through, like, several different stages.
Yes.
But also, like, they finally did a somewhat realistic take of, like, what would actually happen if Godzilla arrived.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, like, tried to make it serious, which was awesome. Because it's all about, like, all the bureaucracy of, like, how slowly the government would react, to what they need to do.
In all the red tape and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it still has, like, ridiculous Godzilla action. Like, the ending of the movie is the greatest thing ever put on film. Where they basically...
Does he, like, goatee everyone?
They drive all these bullet trains towards Godzilla at the same time. And, like, they ramp the trains up so the trains, like, form a cage around Godzilla.
What?
Like, trap him. Yeah,
so you could say it was a midnight meat train.
Oh.
Or not, unless it takes place at midnight.
Little did we know, Midnight Meat Train is the prequel to Shin.
He's like, yo.
It's just a train of meat going into his mouth.
He's like, I will now evolve.
Delicious.
He evolves into, like, fucking Donkey Kong. I'm like, what? Yeah, I've always wanted to watch it. It was just...
Dude, it's amazing.
I like Godzilla, but, like, there have been a couple films, kind of like the Bond movies, where I'm a fan, but, like, I'll be like, these aren't all awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I'll watch it once, and then after that, I'm like, okay, I can't watch this movie ever again. But yeah, I'll definitely watch it for sure.
People would argue, like, the original Godzilla is the only, like, quote-unquote good.
Well, I was gonna say, like,
the Shin Godzilla is.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first one was, like, the only one that I know of that actually treated it like a real disaster, like, what the fuck kind of thing, where, like, it's like, right. We're dealing with the, our own hubris kind of thing, where it's like, and that's kind of like what that one song is based off of, where it's like, I think it's Blue Oyster Cult, the one that I sing every time we go to karaoke. Where it's like, nature points out the folly of man by fucking what they tried to create. But, yeah, I definitely want to watch that movie. I just need to watch more movies and stop playing so many games, I guess. I don't know. That's why I stopped reading comics, because I couldn't... There's only so much, like, I can't, I couldn't do, like, graphic novels and video games and fucking movies, like, but Anyway, yeah.
You can only consume so much content per day.
Right, correct. You got it. I could have just said that, but I don't have an IQ over 5. Yeah, good recommendation. Kevin, would you actually recommend that game you're playing?
Yes.
What is that game?
Maybe.
Maybe?
It's like a lot of the games I like because like I like Division. I like the bullet spongy kind of grindy because it's like the games that you basically like turn your brain off and just play are fun and relaxing to me, and that's kind of like Outriders. It can get frustrating, it can get difficult at points, but I would recommend it. But right now their servers are just getting wrecked.
Destroyed.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's like constant connection issues because it is a DRM game where it has to have an internet connection regardless if you're playing solo or with a group, which does suck, but I do enjoy the game. The story is but I'm there for the gameplay, not really the story.
Yeah, I feel like with modern day gaming, that's kind of the only way you can do it with multiplayer games. Like single player games, I feel like you really don't you don't have to do that. Like companies don't have to do the check to see if you're always online. But as soon as you add in there's a possibility of other people like playing against each other, or even just a PvE like sort of thing, but it's like co-op. Like I feel like you kind of have to look at a thing like that where you have to check and make sure people like doing it always online to make sure that people aren't cheating thing, because otherwise it's like you get things where people are hacking items and people are cheating and it just ruins the game. Like it's you know,
yeah, it
sucks, but you know that's what happens when you know people are assholes.
Just don't live in the boonies.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, what's wrong? You don't have fucking internet, mini-me, you little fucking cuck. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, people suck. But, you know, as long as you're having fun, that's what the game's all about. So, I don't know, have I recommended this on the podcast yet? I don't know. Superman and Lois, have I said anything about this yet, Matt?
I can't remember. I don't think so.
Probably not then. I went back a couple podcasts and I don't think it was out like a lot farther back, but like so they released this show on the CW and it's literally just about Superman and like, you know, Lois Lane. And the synopsis of this show is pretty much that like after years of like facing supervillains and stuff, like Clark Kent and Lois Lane actually like are now like married and they actually have like teenage sons, and it's more so a show less about, you know, just Superman and more about what it is to be a superhero that's, you know, he's so powerful, but like what it's like to raise two kids that possibly are going to have superpowers at one point, and the responsibilities for him to like actually be a father, because like he does on the first episode tell them like, I'm Superman, but until that point like they're teenagers and they didn't know that their dad was Superman, so they just thought he was just a shitty father, you know what I mean? And even after that, you know, like Lois is like, you know, I can, you know, it sucks, but I know who you are, and I'm used to you ditching certain things for the world, but you can't be like this with our sons any longer, you know what I mean? So like it's like, I think that's the best kind of stories for Superman, because I mean, what do you do with a character that's pretty much invincible? You have to like have him choose what's more important, the world or like his family, and it's one of those things where it's like you can't save everybody and you can't do everything, but everybody can relate to, you know, you want to do everything but you can't. So it's one of those things where I feel like that's kind of a good area to be in for a character like that, because everybody can relate to that, you know, trying to do everything, you know, when really you can't do everything, even for like the strongest person in the world. So I think it's just
he could do anything. Like if he makes a mistake, he could just fly around the world really quick and go back in time and like just keep doing that.
I think that's not like an actual power in this like world.
Did he reveal to them that he's Superman by taking off his glasses, and they're like, "Oh my gosh"?
No, he took off his glasses, and they were like, "You're full of shit." Like they actually were saying he's like full of shit, and so he like picks up a car and like flies it above his head, and like, you know, as he's like holding it with one hand, he's like, he flies, and they're like, "Holy shit." You know, like they were like.
Hopefully, no one says Martha to him.
I would
actually
think
that's
him just picking up the car and be like, okay, that's enough proof for me.
Well, like he picked up the car and then he like fucking took it one step further, and they were like, you know. But yeah, actually, speaking of like Martha, that's one of the reasons why he kind of like they start to become closer as a family. Is like he gets a call that like his mother actually like passes away. And so he has to go. They have to go to Smallville for him to like, you know, for the funeral and all that stuff. And that's where like one of his sons exhibits some sort of power, and that's when he's like, maybe we should, you know, maybe I should start being a better fucking father to these people or to these kids, because if not, you know, I know what happens when like people that have unchecked power can kind of. It can go awry and stuff like that. So, I just think it's an interesting dynamic, because it's one of those things where it's like I said, like, what do you do with a character that's pretty much like invincible? You have to kind of like do something where it's like more about them. I don't know, like more character driven. At least something that's interesting to me. Like, I mean, yeah, I'll watch Superman like beat up people and like kick ass all day, but at the same time it's like I understand it's like it's kind of been done a bunch, so it's a different take. It's like, you know, they start out and they're already married and fucking they have teenage sons, and I'm like, well, that's a different take. You know, I've never seen that where like people have always toyed with like, you know, oh, they have kids, but like never that it's that far that they've been married for years and that kind of a thing. Like I thought that was kind of interesting. But
that's cool.
Yeah. Sadly, no time travel. I'm sure there will be at some point, though. If the Flash is involved, which he almost always is because of the CW show, I'm sure he'll show up and fuck something up. I like the character, but he tends to like fuck shit up. By trying to do good, I mean. But anyway, okay, so let's get on to our main topic. What is our main topic this week, Kevin?
Midnight Meat Train?
To a degree, yes.
Delicious.
Train to Busan.
Yes. To a degree, this is a midnight meat train, except for it doesn't take place at midnight. So, Train to Busan is a 2016 South Korean action horror film. This is like the second Korean film that second horror Korean film that you've like nominated. The other one being The Wailing. Directed by Yeon Sang-ho and starring Gong Yoo. Oh god, I'm gonna fuck this up. Hopefully I haven't already fucked something up. Jung Yu-mi and Ma Dong-seok. The film mostly takes place on a train to Busan as a zombie apocalypse suddenly breaks out in the country and threatens the safety of the passengers. I'm going to say, before we get into anything else, like I'm going to give spoilers ahead, because, you know, for every review I go through the synopsis here. I'm about to do that. But before that, I say, if you're a zombie fan and you haven't seen this movie, definitely watch this film before you listen to this podcast, because there's about to be spoilers here, and I don't want to like ruin anything. So do that right now. Okay, now that everybody's out of the room. Now that everybody's out of the room that hasn't seen the movie or doesn't give a fuck about what I say, maybe you're just here for Matt or Kevin. Let's go on. So, reluctantly, the divorced father and workaholic hedge fund manager, Seok-woo, boards the hyper-fast KTX bullet train from Seoul to Busan, accompanied by his strange young daughter, Suan, to visit her mother. However, against the backdrop of an unprecedented threat in the shape of a...
What's strange about her?
Wait, is that what it said?
No, I think it's estranged.
Yeah, did I just say strange? Sorry. I meant estranged. You remember that time when she was like flopping all around? However, it's that was a possessed daughter.
The wailing dog
that was a
normal.
freak.
That's normal. This one's strange.
Come on, Matt. Get with it. However, against the backdrop of a strange daughter, of an unprecedented threat in the shape of a virulent zombie outbreak. I have to apologize because I get these off IMDb and sometimes it's like they're not the greatest, but this was the best one I could find. A grotesque undead stowaway will soon enmesh both passengers and train crew in a frenzied battle for survival as one compartment after another succumbs under the sheer volume of the freshly infected flesh eaters. Suddenly, amid this unrelenting and miniature hell on earth, hope seems to lie in the train's final destination. Nevertheless, can the few remaining survivors fight to stay alive to the bitter end? The answer is 2 of them. So, yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, the only 2 people that survive at the end of this movie are the daughter, and there's a pregnant lady that survives because they weren't gonna kill a pregnant lady or kid. Oh yeah, they could have. I don't know, but they didn't. So yeah. Okay, so now that we've I know that doesn't really say exactly everything that happens in the movie, but we're gonna get into it. Like, I don't like to spend 100 years recapping the whole movie because it's kind of like, I feel like that would take forever, and then we wouldn't really get to talk about it as much. So, yeah, I guess before we get into it, I mean, Kevin, I guess we don't have to ask you. You like this movie, but
yeah, this is probably my favorite, one of my top zombie movies of all time.
Okay. Would you put it in your top movies of all time category? Or just zombie movies?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. Definitely at the very least top 10, close top 5, I would say.
Oh wow, okay. Nice.
Wow.
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 What do you think, Matt?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I liked it. I'm going to go into some very weird specific nitpicks, so I apologize. But that's just because, I've seen so many zombie movies.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Some preferences.
But,
I mean, on the whole, it's a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. On a whole, yeah, I agree. There are some things, I'll probably say. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I hate to even say anything about this movie because I agree it is, it's such a well-made movie, too, that it's hard for me to really, and there was never a time when I was bored watching it. So,
yeah, for sure.
For me, that gets, major points.
Plus, it starts with a zombie deer.
Right. I put that as, I think, one of my first notes that, that was, I think, one of the coolest openings to, a movie I think I've ever seen. Especially, a zombie movie.
Is the deer patient zero? That's the real question.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of yeah, so,
I do like how the driver just hits the deer and's like, well, fuck it, and just leaves.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's a very cool opening scene. So there's a quarantine checkpoint with men spraying cars with just fucking stuff, disinfectant, and this dude that we're talking about in a truck goes through the checkpoint and he's driving along. He reaches for his cell phone, but he runs over something, and it turns out to be a deer. And then he's just shit. Here's this is a shit day, and I'm like, okay. And then he just drives off, and you see the deer unnaturally crinkle back into shape, kind of, and then it stands up, blinks and has white eyes, and it's then it's Train to Busan, and I was just okay, well, very interesting opening. It actually made me want to see more stuff in that area, rural stuff. Very interesting.
One of the things I do like about the opening too, and the whole movie, is that it doesn't tell you what caused it.
Yes.
And that's that's something that you don't like the movie works without even knowing what
Yeah.
really caused it. All you know is there was like some sort of chemical leak somewhere. I think they kind of allude to a chemical leak that kind of
Yeah, the closest thing they get to it is when they talk about like a chemical leak in the beginning with this dude spraying it down, and then also like the main guy's like subordinate calls him and like on the phone is like, did we cause this? We like this was our master plan. I guess they were supporting this company that the leak happened at, but like you don't know, like, you know, like you don't know anything more than like it was some possible, like you were saying, it was some possible chemical that got released that was never supposed to be released to the general public. You know what I mean? That like happened. So you're like, okay, well maybe that, you know, like, but that's nice that it wasn't like, okay, well we got to go to this fucking source of it and like let's ruin the mystique of it.
Yeah, because it's like Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead. There was no real explanation of what was going on. It was just like, this is like this is a thing. Deal with it.
Yeah, and in that movie too, they had like multiple things that they thought could have been. Like one of them was like, well, like a meteor, and then like another one was something like chemicals seeping into the ground or some other shit. It was like, it was interesting because it was never, like you said, like fully explained. So it was like, okay, well. You know.
So many movies, especially horror movies, like explain way too much.
Well, they explain
90% of movies.
They explain the wrong things too. It's like they explain why something happened, but they won't explain. Like they won't keep logic in the movie, and I'm like, you know, and it's out of control as this movie is. Like I was never like, okay, fuck this. Like this is, from what I remember at least. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I wanted to talk about before, like, the main character gets on the train. He's like, he's eating some Burger King for lunch.
I actually put that as a note, Burger King.
Yeah, product placement.
Like, man, that's pretty good. I wanted to ask you guys, like, top 3 fast food burgers. If you had to pick, what would it be?
Let me think here.
Well, I would have to say In-N-Out. Oh man, it's a tough one between. For me, it's a tough one between In-N-Out Burger from California.
Yeah, if In-N-Out was around here, that'd probably be the only place that I would go as far as fast food burgers.
We may be
Jack
all
in the
there.
Box. Jack in the Box is really good too. However,
what?
Well, we were all on the same page for like
there's a caveat here. The Jack in the Boxes in California are really good. The ones that they built here, I don't know what the fuck they use for their cooking, but the Jack in the Boxes here are horrible.
Yeah, that one.
They suck.
Yeah.
There was one that came in, and I tried it, and I was like,
Crystals to White Castle. They may look like the same, but they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that. Freddy's. Trying to think what my third one would be. Maybe because I don't get burgers a lot. Like honestly, like I'm trying to think what my other one would be.
No love for McDonald's quarter pounder and cheese.
I think that's the most consistent because it's like I've never had a raw fucking McDonald's burger, but like I think I've had a raw like Wendy's burger before. I mean, it's probably because they obviously use fresh meat, and McDonald's is like sent to them like already pretty much like pre-cooked and shit, I'm assuming. So they, you know, just because they have that. But I like McDonald's is fine. It's just kind of it's the gold. It's like not the gold standard. It's the you have to do at least better than McDonald's to be considered like, you know,
the bronze standard.
They're the bar that you have to at least do better than to be considered like, you know,
the lowest common denominator.
Right. And I don't know, like this might be sacrilege, but like I'd rather do McDonald's than Wendy's any day just because I like Wendy's. Like their quality is better, but their consistency is not. Like, if that makes sense. Like sometimes I'll get their fries and they're like fucked up, and then sometimes I'll get their fries and they're like awesome. Whereas McDonald's, pretty much everything's always the same. It's like, for the most part.
Ever since Dave Thomas died, it's all been downhill for Wendy's.
Yep. They started using his fucking dead body for fucking meat. And
Midnight Meat Train with Dave Thomas.
Yeah. He's like, zip. I'm like, shit.
Well, what number would that be on the menu? Like, I'll have a number 18.
That's what you have to be to get it. Can
I see the secret menu?
So, yeah, I mean, that was an interesting question, but It was valid.
Sorry, had to.
No, you're good.
Had to know.
No, you got you're like writing it down. You're like, oh. There's a scene early in the movie where like it shows very early on how much he isn't paying attention like to anything other than just his work, because he's like gets his daughter like a birthday gift and he gives it to her and she opens it and it's a Wii and he's like, well, what's wrong, don't you like it? And then he like she looks over and he looks over and like he already bought her one like earlier in the year for I guess a day called Children's Day. And like he didn't remember that somehow, because he's so probably because he had someone else buy it for him, because I think he asked somebody like below him like, what do kids like these days? And they're like, they must have been like Nintendo Wii, and so he just bought her a Nintendo Wii, not even remembering.
Wii a really old console at that point? That's what I was thinking.
When did this movie come out? Because it
years ago.
Came out, but it was probably filmed earlier than that, obviously. But yeah,
2016.
Let me see here, Nintendo.
I think the Wii U would have been out by then, right?
Let me check here. Because it came out in 2012, and
2012, okay.
Or the Nintendo.
The Wii U.
Or wait, no, yeah, the Wii U came out in the 2012.
The Wii is 2006.
Fuck. Yeah.
That's a 10-year-old console at this point. No wonder his daughter doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck is this?
Well, yeah. So let's say that this movie was made. Like, when was this movie released? You said 2016.
Yeah. Now, I want to say this could be one of the things of like, just to add to him not paying attention or how estranged his daughter is from him, is that they tell him like, oh, the new Nintendo, and he just goes out and buys
right. That's like, true.
The Wii U.
So
it could be something like that.
I will have to say that like a lot of people, even if they were like parents that did care about their kids, the Wii and Wii U thing was an abortion. Like, they should have never called it the Wii U. It was like, I'm sure he was just like, the Wii U, I'm sure that's just some fucking tablet, So, like, I don't need to get her a tablet, I wanted the console. So, like, that could have been it. It could have also been that, like, he just fucking, I don't know.
Or does this movie take place in 2006?
That's true, it could have been that.
Well, no, because they all had phones, right? So.
Well, they had smartphones.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
We're probably getting too deep into the weeds on this one. I apologize.
But
I noticed that and I was like, wait a minute.
It's the most unrealistic part of this movie.
This whole thing is, I think, just goes to show like how consumed he is with work and
with Wii's.
Not really like, because it almost seems that he has custody of his daughter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because he speaks with his ex-wife, and his ex-wife tells him like, she wants to come see me, and she doesn't want you to take her. She wants to go. Right. She wants to ride the train by herself. And then it cuts, and you see her talking to her mom, saying the same thing, like, "I don't need Dad to take me. I'll go by myself. I don't want, Yeah. And it just even goes to show how estranged they are. And even though he's like doing all this stuff and working, and I guess you can say he is trying, it seems like his mom, who lives with them, is the one that's taking care of her the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because she even, I guess, talks to him a little bit about like, you need to try to make more time and try to like fix your marriage and everything and all that stuff.
And then when she's dying, she calls her a bitch. She's like, she's a bitch. I'm like, yeah. Fuck. Yeah, so this kid can't sing worth shit when she gives her little fucking performance.
Yeah, dude.
I was like,
it just says recital sucked.
yeah.
No wonder the dad didn't want to show up. Like, this is painful to watch.
It's the reason why he fucking got
Yeah.
himself a bit on purpose at the end. He was like, I don't want to have to hear this bullshit. Kill me.
No, she says, I can't remember what part of the movie she says this, but she said that she was learning that song
Right.
him, and with him
didn't she
not
say-
showing up to
Right.
the recital,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like, she was like depressed about it and stopped singing, and
But then she was able to
like, the
sing
kids in
after
the
he
class
was
started
dead.
laughing at her and making fun of her. I
And
guess
then she
they
looked
were
right at the
forgetting.
camera. I was like, looked right at the camcorder that was filming her at the end, and I was like, is she gonna fucking turn into a
Fuck
fucking
you, Dad.
killer? She's like, yeah. Yeah, I was just like, holy fuck.
Yeah, then the action pretty much kicks in pretty quickly.
Mhm.
After that.
Yeah, there's a kind of a small little bit before things really start that it's like you're starting to see signs of the outbreak, happening, but without actually seeing the outbreak yet. Like, there's a shit ton of police cars and ambulances before they go to the train station. There's like a building on fire. There's like other stuff like that are kind of like not warning signs, but like this is obviously in response to that, but obviously you wouldn't know that, like you could just see that and be like, oh, this might be like, a fire, they're going to like an emergency. Maybe it's more than the regular number of them, but it could just be like a big emergency. But then as soon as they get on the train, it starts pretty quick, because it's like once this lady that gets on the train that's infected pretty much dies on the train and like bites one of the attendants, it just cascades from there, because it's like literally you just have to be like bit, and it's not like it doesn't seem like it takes very long at all, like it unless you're
It's
like
a matter of seconds.
unless you're like a main character, then it takes like quite a lot longer than that. But
that plot armor helps you, fight
Right.
off the infection a little bit.
but
I don't know, because the girl that hopped on,
Mhm.
it looked like she was bit on her leg, and
Yes.
she tried to tie it off.
mhm.
She was like stumbling, or that. This
Yeah.
is like, this is one of my nitpicks. Did you see this? This zombie.
What?
Do we lose Kevin?
Like girl
Oh, there we go.
stumbling, and then
Is it me?
No, I can hear you fine.
Okay, Kevin was like, Zeh.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he
Uh-oh.
a zombie got him.
Kevin! He's on his way to the midnight meat train.
Shit. He might have to disconnect and come back or something. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh no.
I mean, he's still in here. I just don't hear him.
Is he muted?
Nope. So, I guess I'll kind of say some stuff while Kevin's
Yeah.
not here. I'm sure he'll come back or something. Hopefully he's. Oh
My
wait.
internet
Oh my
is
god.
garbage.
Yeah, I hear like you're like in a fucking. You're using like a 2006 cell phone to get it.
Well, I'm
Are you
using
calling
my
in from a
cell
Wii?
phone. I'm calling in through my cell phone through Discord.
Oh shit.
Because,
Nice.
like, my internet is cutting out. I'm using my data.
Oh damn.
But
What were you saying?
no, like I was saying, like, one of my gripes is how the girl was walking through a whole car, looking pretty much like a zombie, and nobody even cared. Like, even like batted an eye. They're like, oh, this is normal in Korea, and like then she collapses in between the car and everything.
Honestly, I kind of thought that was kind of like how, like, if somebody was like that in New York or a big city, like, people would just ignore them. Like,
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
I mean,
You would get looks, at least.
maybe, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the kind of looks you would get if you were, like, a homeless person and you were, like, maybe shitting somewhere, but, like, people wouldn't stop and be like, hey, are you okay? Like, maybe somebody would, but you know what I mean? Like, not saying that, like, I don't know. I can't say that I would be like, are you okay? But, like, I see where you're coming from, but it's also like people are so like, I don't want to get involved. They're just like, I just want
your own business on the, on the midnight meet.
I just want to get to where I'm going.
Gotta get to that meet.
Gotta get that meat. Gotta get that.
Gotta get that meat.
But,
I was thinking about the last time I was on a train. I think it was when you and me, Mike, were in New York City on the subway.
Yeah.
And those super drunk fat guys like saw my Bengals hat and wanted to talk about football.
Yeah, you were just kind of like, ugh. You were talking to them, but they were like,
good times.
They were bumping bellies. I was just sitting there like, well, I mean, everybody was like nice. Like, I can't say anybody in New York was not nice. Like, they seemed to like care about other people. You know what I mean? But like, I'm pretty confident that if like somebody was getting stomped, somebody would jump in possibly and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know, like, but
only one way to find out.
We'll have to go there and you stomp my ass.
All right.
I'm like, Matt, stomp harder. They don't give a shit.
Like, I can't stomp any harder.
But if like somebody was like, you know, like a homeless person came onto the train and was just like sitting there, like people would be like, eh. Unless they were like jerking the fuck off, everybody would be like, well, they'd probably be like even more like ignoring them.
Like, speaking of that, of homeless people on a train, that was one of the things that they kind of
yeah.
to. So you saw the infected girl run into one of the bathrooms, and then you saw like basically the asshole of the story come up and grab an attendant and say, "Hey, I think there's like an unsavory person or something like that."
Yeah.
And they're in the bathroom, and they go and knock, and it's a homeless guy, and he's just like saying, "They're all dead. Everybody is dead."
Yeah, that guy was like flipping his shit. Because he had already seen, like, a fucking mass extinction before the fucking, like, you know, before it really hit the fan on that train.
Yeah.
There was kind of, like, a last second, like, holy fuck, right before, like, as they were taking off, a zombie, like, fucking gallops up and, like, kills the fucking, like tackles the, train attendant on the outside of the train, and the only person to really see it was like the daughter, and she like looks over at the like the dad, and he's like sleeping or something, and she's like, maybe I didn't see that, I don't know what the fuck that was all about.
Weren't waking him up.
Right. So very, very good storytelling. I liked how it was like, I like movies that do that, because it took something that could have just been like a straight out like all on like World War Z, like straight up like, you know, holy fuck, this is already into it kind of thing, and like, you know, well, not like that, but like a thing that's like straight up action, I meant, like, and it was kind of like told slowly, and like you knew Train to Busan, you know, unless you'd never heard of this movie, like what it was going to be about, but like it was like, you know, slowly getting there, and you know, it was a slow burn, but it like paid off, because you were like, oh shit, I know what's gonna happen, like, you know, what's eventually gonna happen as far as like zombies are gonna start ripping people, but you know, rusted pepperonis, motherfuckers. Also, like, these zombies were very interesting because they were like, they only seem to attack on sight. They can see, but only in the daylight, and otherwise they have to use their hearing. So, like, once, like their eyes, they must be able to, like, see people. So you could literally, like, be in a box out in the middle of, like, 1,000 zombies, and they would never attack you if they didn't see you. But, like, if it was night and you threw, like, something away from you, you could literally just you could, like, herd 1,000 zombies into one area and just walk away from them. So it was like, it was interesting. I like the idea of that, because to me it was like, I hate when, like, I think I'll say this is probably the only movie I've seen that had fast moving zombies that I actually liked, because I generally aren't a fan of fast moving zombies, but this is like really one of the only exceptions, because they had like things that made them vulnerable that you could like take advantage of, like the sight thing, and like distracting them with hearing. They weren't like just fucking gonna rush forever and like, you know, unless it was daylight kind of a thing.
Yeah, those were cool touches, I thought.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of ones that are just like, hey, we're just gonna run forever, like, because at that point it's like, okay, well, this isn't really a contest. Like, these people are gonna get reamed regardless, like, which a lot of people did, but you know.
Yeah, and the whole thing of like when they can't see somebody,
Mm-hmm.
then they just kind of like they're like, oh, they have like the attention span of a gerbil. It's like they don't see somebody and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they're completely lost.
Go
Yeah.
into sleep mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, one of my nitpicks, and this is totally just my personal preference.
One of your shit picks.
I don't.
Okay.
The zombies in this,
Mhm.
like, sometimes you can tell in horror movies or monster movies that they bring in people who are like dancers, and that's totally you can tell that's what happened here because they're like very agile and like doing unnatural movements and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I don't know, it kind of took me out of it a little bit. Whereas in like the Romero movies, are these people like dead or just infected? I guess it really doesn't matter, but
I think they
Romero
die
movies,
once they're bit,
they're
and then
dead.
they become like. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they like the infection leads to their death, and then once they're completely dead, they then have no choice but to follow the infection programming, because it's like there's that part in the movie where like that badass guy like gets bit, and he's like able to stave it off, but once his eyes like completely gloss over, then he just like he gives up, and they just run over him. So it's like that's when he dies, and it's like
Yeah, I think so. I think the way it works is like they don't explain this. This is all like hypothetical, but I think the way that it works is you get infected and you will die from it, and when you die, you become a zombie. However, if you die faster, you become a zombie faster. So like the initial infected on the train, since she was bit in the leg, she didn't turn immediately. It took a while for her to actually turn. Whereas the stewardess, since she bit her in the neck and basically ripped out her fucking jugular, she turned very quickly because she died very quickly.
Yeah.
Due to like the wound in her neck and everything. So I think that is how like an explanation of why certain zombies turn faster than others. But yeah, my favorite character in this is the dude with the pregnant wife,
Captain Kick-Ass.
Jeff Bridges, the dude.
He was like my favorite character. He had like some comedy point spots, and you know, like some good comedic spots, and
he was the only person that I looked up on IMDb after this movie was over, because I was just like,
I loved him, and like I knew what was gonna happen to him at that point. I was like, oh no, and but that was he is my favorite character.
That's probably the coolest part of the movie is like when they armor up, because they know that like they're gonna be, you know, in close quarters with the zombies. So like they use like electrical tape and stuff to like tape up their arms to prevent bites. That was awesome.
But like then the guy that was gonna punch didn't tape up his hands, which I thought was kind of stupid, but
he blew it.
I think that was actually one of the only times that, I mean, it made for like an awesome scene in the movie, like the way he died, because he was such like a badass that he like was able to like just pick people up and throw them up into the ceiling. Like there was a part where he grabbed somebody and just threw them up into the ceiling, and they fucking were like bong, like the zombie. And then he was even like when he was bit, he was able to like hold off like an entire back of the train number of zombies that were trying to push through, like with another zombie's body. So it was like, but having said that, like that was an awesome scene, but like I wasn't a huge fan of like him putting his hand to be bit there. I was like, what the fuck was he thinking? He was like, he had a perfect hold where he was, and then he like went for a worse hold on the door and got bit, and I was like, okay, well, this is
plot armor.
This is obvious. Like, you know, we have to kill this character, but we don't have a good way to kill him.
Yeah, I think the way they could have done that better is basically have the zombies kind of like break the glass.
Yeah, that's what I was
and then
thinking
do that.
too.
The only downside of that, if they break the glass there, it's like, why couldn't they break the glass at the other points? So that's the only thing I can think of why they didn't do that. But
Well,
I think
they ended up
breaking
spraying the
glass
thing,
better.
so like what they would do is they kept doing the thing where like once they sprayed or like put something up to make it so that like they couldn't see the people on the other side, they would just completely not try to get through that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's like they didn't have time to do that for that door there. So that's why they were like pushing against it and shit. Whereas like the other one they had completely, sprayed and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I understand, whatever, they did it and stuff, but like whenever a cool character gets killed off, I'm usually like on the fence with it or like not. And this one I'm like halfway both ways. It led to an awesome death and the character went out like a badass, so I don't hate it, but his character was so cool that like I wanted to see him do more shit. But he was such, like I said, it was like, it led to such a cool, like, a cool scene. He was like the hero of the fucking movie, so I was like, I can't shit on it too much.
This part does bring up a good question, though, like, of what happened. So basically, just to set up what just happened was there's basically two groups of survivors that are separated in between cars.
Yeah.
And you have the group of, like, the main protagonists, like, all the people that we really know. Then you have the group of, like, the normal people with, like, the asshole of the movie is with the group of the rest of the people.
Evil businessmen.
Yeah, they end up, like, the group with all the protagonists and all the, like, the heroes, quote-unquote heroes, they end up making it over there. And the normal people end up closing and locking the door on them and not letting them in.
Yeah.
And that's, the badass guy was holding the door to try to stop the zombies from coming in to get to them, and they're fighting. They end up breaking the door down and getting in with everybody else through the sacrifice of the badass guy. And they're pissed that they locked them out, because if they didn't lock them out, the badass guy would have been able to live.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have had to, like, hold the door, he wouldn't have gotten bitten and all that kind of stuff. So the question comes down to is what they end up doing is they end up forcing the heroes to get out of their car and go to, like, the next car over, because they're like, you're infected, all this other kind of stuff, like, you could be infected, get the hell out, we don't want you here. And it's like, how, like, I think that is extremely realistic, that if this was like a realistic situation, all of that probably could have happened, with them not letting people in, not letting that group of people into their cab, and once they do get in, being that irrational to be like, you are not allowed to stay here because you could be infected and everything. And I thought that was a very good thing that they did, like, how they put it, even though they are like portraying all of them as the enemy, it's like I could see even myself being in their situation, being like, you just ran through 3 trains of zombies. No, I'm pretty sure one of you are bitten. Get the fuck out of my car.
Yeah, totally. So we learned that man is the true monster.
Yes.
Well, we didn't learn it. Everybody knew that. If you'd watched any of the George Romero movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he killed, inadvertently, he killed more people in this movie that we know of than, like, that we knew, than, like, he's like runner up to the zombies in this movie for, like, murders inadvertently.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, like, he did it on purpose. But, like, there was another character that he legit led to their death that, it ended up, like, fucking the car over. Is like he let that old lady fucking die, because, like, if he hadn't, like you said, like, if he had just let everybody in, then fucking the badass and the old lady's sister fucking would have been alive, and then she would have never opened that car, like the zombies into them. So it's like he fucked himself over on every account, and in the end it, like,
I would say I did like how it was the little old lady
that
was like, you know what? fuck all you. Just like opens the door to let them in.
Yeah, that was very appropriate. So going back to the zombies, here's my second of 3 nitpicks.
Oh shit, you got 3 nitpicks.
This is not a problem with the movie, it's just personal preference. But I prefer my zombies to moan instead of growl.
Oh. You're a big fan of those zombie porn.
Exactly like that, Mike.
Zombie pornos.
No, but it kind of got on my nerves, all the growling, and they do it in Walking Dead too. But like in the Romero movies, they're always moaning, and not like so animalistic, you know.
I think that became popular, like popularized with 28 Days Later. I think.
Oh, could
be where that really, because 28 Days Later as well popularized the running zombies, right?
Yeah. I hate that movie. Personally.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like that movie. I think that movie.
I think it ruined zombie movies for a long time because it introduced the running zombie and also introduced the whole animalistic zombie. This movie, I feel like, made it interesting because it gave like I said, there were like downsides for the zombies, but at the same time, like it's just they're too overpowered. Like to me, like zombies in huge numbers are already their superpower. Is like, you know, them being fast too. It's just not a superpower. It's like fucking overpowered. It's like there's no reason to even watch the movie because I know that like there's not going to be an outcome other than the overrunning of humans. And not saying that like, oh, inadvertently that's a bad thing, but like there's no conflict there. It's just straight up fucking they run you down and fucking you're fucked. You know, that works way better in like a video game than it does in a fucking movie for me.
Well, the ultimate was World War Z, where they became like a swarm of like insects. That was like the pendulum swinging all the way to that side.
I like the setup of like 28 Days Later, and I like the idea of it. I mean, like it had a lot of awesome like cinematography in it and stuff. Like the whole like London being empty thing was like holy fuck. But yeah, like I said, it's just the whole like fast zombie thing has always kind of gotten on my nerves because I think going from the Romero stuff of like they're slow, but like if you're on one spot for too long, they're gonna surround you and you're like fucked, and like there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
I just want to hear more moans.
Well,
bring back the moan.
Go to Zombie Hub.
Way scarier.
I do like.
I heard a moan in the middle of.
I heard a fucking moan. If you heard a.
You didn't hear the moan at like 56 minutes 38 seconds. You gotta turn it up all the way.
If I heard a moan or a growl, I'd be fucking shitting my pants.
No, if I heard a growl, I'd just be like, "Shut up, that's annoying."
I think like I liked 28 Days Later.
I'm pretty sure if you heard a moan, you'd be freaking out too.
I actually like 28 Days Later because it brought the whole. It did add something new to the zombie genre by adding the running, and adding how the infection was through the blood, not necessarily a bite, like where people just like blood dripped on them, and it like the blood dripped on that guy's eye, and it did that. Yeah. So I like that because it brought something new, and that's one of the reasons why I hold Train to Busan so highly is because it brought something new to the genre, with the zombies not being able to see at night and being more based off of hearing and that kind of stuff, and the whole thing of it taking place in a train where it's very claustrophobic and there's not a lot of like there's no way out of a train, of a speeding train. I mean, there is a way out, but it's not going to be pretty if you jump off of that. But yeah, like, so I do like both of the, like, I do like 28 Days Later. I do like, and like I said, that's one of the reasons why I like that one and Train to Busan so much. But I like that, like, I understand like your nitpick about them not moaning, just growling, because I think even when they were in their like sleep mode, it was just like little mini growls, like.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like the same. Doesn't matter, moan or growl. I just don't want them to be fucking fast.
I'm hashtag Team Moan.
Well, go to Pornhub and you can get all you want. After this fucking
like in the early Resident Evil games.
No, I agree. Well, that's the thing. There are two different kinds of zombies that has especially been a thing after 28 Days Later came out. It was the fast zombies, or it was like the Romero zombies. To me, the Romero zombies make more sense because if it's a fucking corpse, it's not going to be super fast. But I see, like, this movie, like I said, was the only fast zombie movie I've ever really liked because it gave it a different spin on the way that they react and, like, they have, like, weaknesses. Whereas, like I said, like, if they're so fast that, like, you can't do shit, or even World War Z where they, like, fucking run up shit by using, like, each other as a... And I guess they kind of do that in this movie to a degree, like, but that's, like, they were... Kind of. Like, there's a part in this movie where, like, they're getting away on the train and they're, like, they form, like, a fucking zombie, like, fucking cape or whatever on the end of the fucking train. But, like, other zombies weren't crawling on the already made thing, like a hive mind. Like, they were stupid enough that, like, only one of them kind of did it, and then the dude ducked out of the way and it, like, fell and fucked up. And then he was able to just kick their hands and they all fell off. Whereas if that was, like, World War Z, they would have, like, overcame the train and, like, fucking driven it to fucking hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, that kind of a thing, I was like, I like that. I like that they're just stupid enough to not be like the Borg and be like a hive mind, but, like, they are still fast. So, like, they have kind of, like, they're like a mixture of, like, the 28 Days Later fast zombies and the Walking Dead Romero's, like, stupid zombies. Like, they're not smart by any means. They're more just the 28 Days Later animalistic, but not, you know, they have to see you to fucking grab your cock. They're gonna grab you and slap you. Yeah. But, I mean, I guess I would have rather 28 Days Later be a thing than not, because then this movie wouldn't have been made. So, I can't shit on it too much, I guess. Even though I just did. What's your third shit pick?
Okay. It's the lack... Well, the businessman deserved a way more extreme death.
I actually have that as I think my only nitpick about this movie.
Like, he should have gone out like Rhodes. And
yeah.
Really, my nitpick is, like, a lot of the zombie movies, like, try to top each other in terms of, like, the extreme gore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Walking Dead does the same thing, and this movie really didn't try to do that. Like,
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, there's gore, but there's not, like, outrageous, like, moments. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not that there has to be, but...
No, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
It would have been appropriate for that businessman to, like, you know, go out way harder.
There was actually a lack of gore in this movie, honestly, because, like, whenever I think about it, there was a lot of times when, like, there were, like, when they all thought that they were gonna go to a safe place, and then they walked down those steps, and, like, the army had been turned into zombies, and people were getting reamed by those zombies, but they would just, like, they cut away from it. You know what I mean? Which I'm not, like, complaining. I'm just saying, like, they had opportunities to, like, show the most horrific fucking, you know, and disembowelments and all kinds of stuff, but, like, you know, they didn't. So, like you were saying, they don't have to, but that was, you know, and I could see.
I'm actually look up. I don't know. Is this rated R?
It's rated R, maybe.
It's not rated. Well, it's not rated for America. I don't know what it's rated in Korea, or I don't know if they even. I don't know
if they have like a rating thing.
Yeah,
it has to be R. I mean, it's nonstop violence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are the worst things I can say about this movie. So pretty minor nitpicks on my side.
Yeah, I mean, well, I say, like, I went back and forth, honestly, after I saw it at the end, whether or not I actually kind of liked this movie or not. And I'll explain why here, like, because I wrote this down, like, and it goes along with what you were saying. I landed on the camp of, like, yeah, because I just detached the last 20 minutes. Because the reason why I say that is because, like, when the COO guy kept killing people, you know, I was like, this is fucking stupid, because when, like, it showed that he escaped at all, I was like, okay, fuck that. That's so stupid. Because that was like kind of a, I don't believe this. This is like so, crap. Because he was in the middle when the zombies got lit in. He wasn't like towards the fucking front. And, but then I was like, whatever, But then, like, he was killing people one after another. Like, that one guy, like, he's like, yeah, it's safe. Threw him out there. Fucking, he grabbed the one girl and, like, pretty much let her get bit by the zombie. And then she turned and then she killed her, like, boyfriend. And then, like, the fucking conductor came out to save the dude and he, like, threw him down to his death. And I was just like, okay. So, at the end of this movie, he's, like, infected. And, like, he's crying for his mom. And he's like, I don't want to die and stuff. But, like, I don't think there was enough, like you were saying, backlash to warrant the amount of people killed. The way, like, the movie ended, for his death at least, was, like, just okay. Like, I felt like the amount of characters that died reminded me kind of, like, The Walking Dead. It, like, got to the point of, like, diminishing returns. Where, like, people that you, like, nobody you cared about from the beginning was even alive at the end. For me.
Yeah.
Having said that, like, the movie overall was, like, awesome. Like, I liked the movie. It was just, I felt like the bad guy was set up to a degree, but he was also, like, he went full out to a degree, but he was not, like, he wasn't on the same, like, level as, like, Rhodes or, like, the governor or, like, fucking Negan. You know what I mean? For me, he wasn't, like, full, like, he was full, like, evil, but it was not, like, he didn't have a satisfying end. Like, it was very interesting. Like, I thought that ending for him was interesting because it was more so, like, you saw what he was. You saw he was just a big coward and he didn't want to die, so he was making up all this bullshit. So yeah, that was pretty interesting, but I felt like I said, like, there were diminishing returns for some of the like, for some of the movie, for, like, so many characters to be killed, because by the end you wind up with, like, two characters that legit had, like, no character other than to be, like, sidekicks for, like, the main characters. So, like, the pregnant lady and, like, the daughter live, and then that's when they meet, like, the army that, like, are like, shit, we got civilians here, and they save them and stuff. Which, I'm not, like, shitting on those characters, they're fine, but it was just kind of like they didn't really have characters. Like I said, the daughter probably had more of a character than the pregnant lady, but and not like you have to have, like, not like I'm like the main guy had to live, I'm just saying, like, I felt the amount of, like, people that were killed by that guy got to a point where it was, like, diminishing returns for me, where it was just like, how many fucking main characters can this guy kill? Because it got to the point for me that I think even if they had, like, fucking put a nuke down his fucking cock, it wouldn't have fucking been fine. I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I said, that's just my opinion. I felt like he needed, like you said, a way harsher, I don't know. I guess I was just, like, craving fucking revenge after all the fucking bullshit he did, so.
Yeah, totally.
And I just felt like, I don't know, I felt a lot of it was like, I understand, though, it's a zombie movie, and it was, like, no holds barred, people were getting reamed left and right and killed. But, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's, like, the worst thing I think I'll even say about this movie. Like, I liked the rest of it, so I didn't even really want to bring that up. It was just kind of like, I wrote it down as a note, and I couldn't, like, not say it, because that's just how I felt about the end of the movie. I will have to say that I cried when, like, the dad died at the end of the movie, and he got bit. I was just like, God damn it, dude! Like, really?
That wasn't it for me. What got me, like, as far as, like,
was when the movie ended.
was the daughter singing the song in the tunnel.
Because it was so bad.
To them. Her singing the song, like, that she was learned for her dad, and that being what saved them at the end.
The pregnant lady's like, he's fucking dead, so, you idiot.
For me, the businessman and the main character, the hedge fund guy, it's like they're two sides of the same coin. So, like, in the beginning of the movie, the main character is only about himself. Like, he at one point he tells his daughter, like, you didn't.
Yeah, that is true for sure.
You need to look out for yourself. You are number one. Everybody else is number two, and that kind of thing. And that's the same mindset as that CEO guy. But throughout the movie, the main character ends up being saved by the other characters, and he starts learning that, like, maybe it's not all just about me. Maybe we can help each other and work towards, like, a common goal. And then he ends up changing, and I almost see, like, the main character is, like, changed his ways out of being so selfish and everything is about just him. And the CEO is almost like, this is what happens when you go down that route of only being, like, looking out for yourself and not trying to work with people. While it may get you ahead by, like, throwing people around and getting them killed, you end up getting
eventually you're gonna get fucked. Yeah. And it was, like, kind of like the whole self-sacrifice as well at the end with the main character, instead of trying to stay with them, basically. And I like at the end when he realized he didn't have very much time left. It was like, okay, first things first, I have to take care of the most important thing. Like, get her in the driver's seat and tell her how to operate, which I don't know how he knows. He's like, let me tell you how to operate something I've never been in before.
Let me tell you how to operate this train. But, like, getting her in the seat and basically explaining everything he can to her that he knows about, like, this is what you need to do, because that's the most important thing. And then he goes to his daughter, and then the whole thing with his daughter is, like, at the beginning of the movie, she doesn't really want anything to do with him. She doesn't think, like, he cares about her or anything, to the end of this end part. Like, her, saying, I don't want you to go, and everything, and breaking down in front of him, and then him breaking down before, he sacrifices himself. I was like, that whole, like, I loved the way that this ended. I'm not the same, I don't have the same opinion as you, Mike. I loved the way that this ended. With, like, his self-sacrifice and everything, and how it was shot. Even going into the tunnel with the military people and all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'll probably never watch this movie again, but that's only because I don't really watch movies more than once unless they're like I don't know, like, I don't know why. I mean, I might watch it again. I could be wrong. It's just I think, like I said, to me, like, I'm somebody, I think, that is like, if enough characters that I like in a movie die, I regardless of if it's a fucking awesome cinematic masterpiece, I'll still think it's a shit ending. And that's, like I said, it's not the what's it called, it's not the I don't know what you would say, like, it's not the reviewer's way to, like, be sentimental about that kind of stuff and be like, well, the good guys didn't come out on top. But I don't know, that's just me. I feel like I'm kind of a sap for that kind of shit. If enough of the good guys don't come out on top, I always get kind of, like, pissed off to a degree. But like I said,
since you mentioned the critics' rules, should I get into Roger Ebert's review?
Yeah, actually, let me say one more thing, and then you can get into that. I was gonna say, I will have to say though, I liked this movie a little bit more after Kevin talked about that. So,
yeah, I agree. That was good articulation.
Yeah,
of the ending.
So I will have to give it to you that, like, I do like the way it ended, but I don't like the way it made me feel, and I liked it. Yeah, so.
See him hit the ground, right? You just see him kind of get flung over.
So he probably didn't even die. So it's like, okay. But, like, what I was going to say is that, like, yeah, it's like, he was surrounded by all these people that were like literally he took charge and were like, you know, like the one assistant dude that was like he was like a train conductor dude was like a complete pushover to him and did whatever he said and like pretty much turned from like a good person to like a horrible piece of shit because this guy was like, you know, had these like my way, you know, it's only out for myself, whereas like you were saying, you know, like the other guy had like the one dude that was helping everybody, like the badass guy, his daughter, like, you know, all these other people that like wanted to like help other people and like were fine to like, you know, do that. And this other guy, it's like, if things had gone the other way and he was with them the whole time, would he have been like a better person and would he have like changed his ways or what, you know? So very interesting. So yeah. What did Ebert say about this movie?
He didn't say anything because he was long dead at the time this came out.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I was gonna say, I'm like, wait a minute.
Sorry.
Well, that's one good thing that came out of this.
Jesus.
Now, I will have to say that they did come out with a sequel.
Yeah, I saw that. It's called like Peninsula or something.
Yeah, Peninsula, which I actually did buy and I watched. Peninsula is more of your standard zombie movie, just set in this world. So it's not like, you know, where they're stuck on a train or anything like that. It's just normally in Korea. It is more of a. I enjoyed it. I like pretty much all movies I watch, but like.
So you're the opposite of me.
It's nowhere near, in my opinion, as good as Train to Busan.
Yeah.
It's
just
the characters
more...
come back from the first one?
No, all new characters.
Yeah,
the
dad.
It takes place 4 years after. And like all of Korea, well, all of South Korea is basically just overrun with zombies. It's like, yeah, it's not as good.
Did they say anything about like if any of the other countries are or no?
It does have some stuff like that, but it's just Korea. It's just South Korea. They basically quarantine the whole country.
Ah, okay.
Oh, like the UN's like, nope, you're not getting out. Like, we're not letting anybody out.
I mean, that's actually shockingly uncharacteristic, because if that happened these days, people would be flying all over the place and.
Yeah,
we
saw how well the UN
right. Fucking the entire world would be trained to Busan. Jesus. Yeah, that's the most unrealistic thing about these movies, that anybody would do that, because fucking if this had happened like during COVID times, it'd be like, well, 4 years later the entire world is raving, they're like one big zombie.
Right.
So, good job.
My rights.
Yeah.
You can't.
So it's my religion to not be a zombie. It's like, okay.
You can't keep me out of the zombie infected area.
I'm like,
it's my right to go where I want.
Getting fucking electrocuted. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I mean, I was interested when I saw they made a sequel, but yeah, maybe they'll make a third one called Day of the Train to Busan.
So the other thing is they're remaking this movie in America.
Yeah, you told me about that.
And I don't know what they're gonna call it, because obviously they can't call it Train to Busan. So
they should call it Train to Busan USA.
We don't really have that many trains. And this
that's true.
Yeah, this is like a high-speed like bullet train. We don't have bullet trains.
Dude, I know what they should do. They should do Train to Busan, but just remake fucking Speed with Keanu Reeves.
No. It's like,
and they're like
Train to San Francisco, and it's just that little trolley.
Oh my
train.
god! It's just going in a circle. It's going back and forth. I'm like, what? This sucks. Yeah, I'm trying to Train to Busan US remake. Wait, I just said it and it was just like, okay, so let me look this up here. It's getting a sequel.
Midnight Meat Train to Busan?
Hell yeah, dude. South Korean blockbuster.
Little do we know, it was already made. It's called Midnight Meat Train.
I know, right? I'm trying to. Okay, it's being made by New Line Cinema, so maybe Austin Powers will be in it.
Well, it should be Train to Busan, but the U.S. is capitalized. That's how you know.
That's true.
Busan.
I'm just like looking here. It says, yeah, I'm trying to see if there's like any real news about this.
Can't spell Busan without USA.
I'm like, huh? Like it's true, but everyone's like, what? Like that should be on the fucking poster. You can't spell Train to Busan without USA. And everyone's just like, yeah, but what the fuck does that have to do with the movie? And they're like, oh, we haven't like written it. We just wanted to get the tagline first. Apparently,
first, work backwards.
No one asked. Train to Busan is getting an American remake, and fans are livid. Livid. They're like, they're all like fucking zombies. They're like, like growling.
I am one of those fans.
Are you livid?
No, I know they're gonna fuck it up.
Kevin sounds livid right now.
I know.
Super livid. You
I
can't hear me,
believe
but I'm
him.
moaning so loud.
Oh!
And,
Moans of rage.
but no, like I know they're gonna fuck it up, just like they're gonna fuck up. Like I don't even know if this is still being done.
Moonsofrage.com.
American live action Akira movie that they were talking about. It's like they're gonna fuck that up.
They're like, time to make a fucking movie based off an anime that happened 50 billion years ago.
Yeah, and it's like why
not?
Why steal these ideas? It's like I understand that it's very hard to come up with ideas these days, but fuck.
Dude, the three of us could come up with an idea in like probably like 15 minutes for a movie.
The movie.
Like probably less than that.
Train?
Wait, what?
Yeah. Busan 2 train?
Ah, there we go.
It's about this group that gets on a train.
It's about this giant that fucking pulls Busan to the train with a huge rope. It's like a Paul Bunyan zombie. Yeah, I don't know, man. This isn't the first time we've talked about like how Hollywood, or just in general the film industry, not even Hollywood, like they can't just like be like, let's come up with an original idea, or like let's just say we want to make a zombie movie. Okay, well, what do we want to do differently? Like, come up with ideas for that. Instead, it's like, let's take something that was moderately successful or original, like Train to Busan. I mean, well, actually, I think this is more than moderately successful. But, like...
It costs, like, $70 million to make, I think, is what I saw, and it grossed worldwide
$1.
$100 million.
So, yeah, I mean, it was successful. But, like... like...
It's all about the money. Going back to your precious capitalism.
Yeah, well, I mean, to a degree. I mean, yeah, it is about money, but it's also about, like... It's more so, I feel like, how can we do the least amount of work to put out a product? Like, the person directing this, he doesn't have to do anything. There's already a story. Like, literally, he just has to call it, like, something else. And, like, find a different spot for the train to be, or, like, maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe they could have it set on, like, a transcontinental railroad excursion or some shit. I don't know. Like you were saying, though, Kevin, trains aren't really a thing. Like, maybe honestly, the only places this could really take place are, like, New York or Chicago. Because, like, or maybe Washington, D.C., where they have subway trains. You know what I mean? Like,
in the Old West.
Like a wagon train?
Interesting. If they did a Western version of the zombie outbreak on an old Western train, that could actually be interesting if they remade it like that.
Or they could do, like, an old Western...
Bruce Campbell as Briscoe County Jr.
Yeah, an old Western movie and just call it Wagon...
along the Oregon Trail.
Wagon Train to Busan.
Wagon Train to Busan.
I guess they would have to call it... They'd have to, like, be slow-ass zombies, though. They couldn't be, like... The zombies, like, run laps around the U.S. while fucking they're getting to their destination. trying to catch up. It's like, okay. Oh yeah, and they could tie that.
Just die while fording a river.
They could tie that back into like Ravenous, like the fucking Donner Party. Actually, I guess they already made that movie with Ravenous, like people turning into like vampire zombies. Yeah. I mean, that's a movie that was took like a small little idea that was like the Donner Party and turned it into like a fucking original idea. But it's like, I guess they would rather remake a movie like Train to Busan in the U.S. where like trains aren't really a thing. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues too is like a lot of these they bank on nostalgia. Like look at Disney with them remaking all the live action.
But it's like this movie just came out, so it's like,
yeah,
dude, we should
like the live action Disney movies with like Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and all of those. It's like,
well, it's weird because then they take the stuff out that people like the most. Like they made Mulan and they like took out the music that everybody liked, and like it wasn't even super like accurate to the fucking original story from what I remember, like heard and stuff.
And
so it's like
it made way more money.
Did it?
So they're learning all the wrong lessons.
Well, I think
those movies are huge.
So I think the reason is because
it's China, dude.
It's China. When the original Mulan came out, China was mad because the original Mulan wasn't like the Chinese story that it was.
They were like, ooh, wah,
the re-release or the remake of Mulan was closer to the actual Chinese myth.
Could you say they were livid?
They liked it. However, it's really like, even though it was more successful, what's fucked up about it is James Cameron's Avatar, the re-release of it for it to make more money, that money that it made just in the re-release was more than Mulan has made over its whole life, the remake, over its whole life. So it's like, yeah, even still, like, Avatar made more money than this movie, and I don't want to get like politics or anything, but I did not watch that movie because of the main actress.
Well, for me, besides her bullshit ideas of like saying like fuck Hong Kong, like besides
Avatar?
No, for the Mulan movie, like Mulan. The main. But like, even I mean, that's stupid. Like, I don't know why the fuck you would say that. Like, keep your opinions to yourself, idiot. But like, besides that whole thing, like,
says us on a podcast.
Well, I'm not over here talking about fucking screw Hong Kong. I hope they fucking burn in hell.
Yeah, people from Hong Kong roaches. And they're not real people. It's like,
when they're the ones getting fucked, like, you know. Hey, let's Superman and Hulk Hogan gang up on this fucking fetus over here. This is a fair fight. Like, fucking, like, the main issue for me is like, it's like, yeah, it made, like you were saying, like, it made money, but in the it's like short-term gains, but long-term, you know, it's not doing anything. Because it's like, it's gonna make them a quick buck from China, but it's not gonna ever be rewatched by anybody. So they're not gonna get the money that they would have made if they had just made it, like, how they should have made it. So yeah, it made money then, but it's not going to make the money that it should be making over time.
No one's getting money on rewatches from you.
Well, not from shit movies, that's for damn sure.
I think one of the things too with remakes is in my opinion, it can be a very bad double-edged sword. Like, let's say the Train to Busan remake, when people find out that, you know, whatever it's going to be in America, that it was based on the movie in Korea, I think there is going to be a large portion of people that are going to watch the original Train to Busan, and most likely the original Train to Busan is going to be better, which is going to lead people to not rewatch whatever the remake is, and instead want to rewatch Train to Busan. And it's like, it can be, in my opinion, like kind of like a double-edged sword, where doing these remakes only makes the originals more popular instead of the actual remake being more popular, depending on how well it's done.
Right, yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, with Disney, it might actually work out regardless in their favor, because, like, say somebody hates the new Mulan, they'll just subscribe to the Disney fucking Plus to just watch fucking the original Mulan or buy it. You know what I mean? So there, but then it comes to like, say there's a company that buys the rights to like, you know, Death Note, you know, and then like that movie, they say they don't like the movie, so then they watch the original. Well, the new company's not getting any of that fucking money from the original. You know what I mean? They're getting the money from, you know, the new movie only, like, because they own the rights to like a live action kind of thing, not to like the manga or the animated stuff. So they're like, you know, it works for companies sometimes, but if it's a company that buys the rights to say something like the fucking Three Stooges, you know, they're not making money on the fucking shorts that people will go back and watch if a new movie's made, because people will watch the new movie and maybe be like, this movie sucks, watch the original stuff instead. It's rare when a remake is really good. Like, I think there's only a couple I can think of, like the remake of Night of the Living Dead was really good by Tom Savini, but I think that's because he understood what made the original great, because he worked with George Romero and knew his directing style and was like, well, I want to make this my own thing, but I understand what people liked about the original, you know. So
the Three Stooges remake was great.
Yes, that was a shit fucking analogy on my part. I was just trying to think of an old franchise that somebody would buy the rights to that like the original people wouldn't, you know, that they would get different money from. But then again, I guess the, you know, Mo Howard ain't fucking alive, so he ain't getting no money.
Does Evil Dead 2 count as a remake of Evil Dead 1?
Yeah, I would say so. Even though they kind of like allude that like this is the second time he's come back to the same cabin like an idiot. I would say though, like, they did a good job with that, because the first one was straight up horror and the second one was like camp, and it was like it you know, they're very two different movies that do the same thing, but like it's kind of like the original Night of the Living Dead versus the new one, you know, the remaster or like the remake. It's like the same thing to a degree, but also different enough for you to want to watch both. Which is what I think remakes, if you're gonna do it, should do. Like, do something different, but also make people feel like, you know, they don't make them not fucking want to watch the remake, you know, and just be like, I want to watch the original only. Like, then you fucked up. I mean, can you guys think of a remake that was really good?
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times, but The Thing.
Yeah, true. That's actually a very good.
I watched the remake of The Thing.
You're talking about like John Carpenter's The Thing, because that's a remake of The Thing from Another World that came out like black and white style back in the day, where it was like a Frankenstein monster.
Oh, okay, then, yeah. John, I thought you were talking about John Carp. There was a remake of John Carpenter's.
Oh yeah.
There was the prequel, but
yeah, I was too afraid to watch it.
Like you weren't scared it was gonna be bad. You were just too afraid. You were like, oh,
like, no,
you were moaning. You were like, oh.
I don't want to watch this movie. It'll make me moan.
Kevin's like, oh.
Russell.
Yeah. Very carefully.
They should remake Captain Ron.
Yeah, with a real guy named Ron Swanson.
Ron Howard.
Dude! I would watch any movie with Ron Howard as an actor in it, but he's like, fuck that, I'm wearing hats because I'm bald. I love Ron Howard,
Alright,
though.
so, Tangent City.
Yeah. You guys have anything else to say about this movie?
It was fun to watch, fun to talk about.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks again, Kevin. You're batting 1,000.
Yeah, you need to recommend more movies.
Well, what's funny is like the movies I think of, I'm like, I always end up leaning towards Korean movies because I'm like, I know nobody's seen this.
Yeah, I mean
like,
that's awesome.
And how I end up doing those, but
I mean, I like that kind of stuff. Because I mean that's why I like doing the podcast, because I don't think there's a movie that I've watched on here that I've actually seen yet, for the most part. Like, there's a couple, but like, you know, like the next two are like The Midnight Meat Train and King Kong vs. Godzilla, which I haven't watched King Kong vs. Godzilla yet because I wanted to, but I just haven't gotten around to it, and now I can just watch it for the podcast. And I've never watched Midnight Meat Train because we always joke around about it. And I just kind of forgot about it until we brought it up the other day.
Watch this be like your favorite movie of all time. Like, Midnight Meat Train was amazing.
Matt, you've seen this movie. Don't say anything about it, but do you think I'll like this movie or not?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Is it streaming on anything? Like, are you gonna... Like...
Fuck. What's that website? What to watch or like where to watch? Is that what it's called? Where you can...
Something like that. Maybe where to watch?
Where you can find out... or it's called justwatch.com, where you can go and type in a movie and find out. Let's see, what's this called? What was it called again? Fucking Midnight Meat Train.
Midnight. Did you forget a name like that?
I know.
Midnight Meat Train to Georgia, 2008. It is. If you have a Tubi with ads, that's actually where I watched.
Tubi.
That's where I watched, what's it called, the movie you last nominated, Matt, with Bruce Willis.
Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, I watched it on Tubi, because I didn't want to, like, pay for it. I mean, not that I didn't want to pay for it, but then I was like, you know what? I might as well just, like, watch these movies, like, for free if I can. There's no reason for me to, like, pay for every single one of these movies. Yeah, so...
Mike, I expect you to own the VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray,
the 4K
HD of every single one of the movies.
Oh
and if the movie hasn't come out on VHS, you need to get one and record it to VHS.
Bradley Cooper's in this movie. Actually, shit, I was wrong. Fucking... This movie is not... It doesn't have... Who did I say it had it in it? It's Vinnie Jones, not fucking, I always get those two dudes confused. It's not Jason Statham, it's Vinnie Jones. But Bradley Cooper's in this movie. That's fucking awesome. He's great. Ted Raimi's in this movie. Wait, did Sam Raimi direct this? No? Somebody else did. What?
Clive Barker? Or Clive Barker wrote it.
It's like, director is Ryuhei. It's like, I think this is a Japanese. It's like Ryuhei Katamura. I could be wrong about where the person's from, but it's... Yeah. Well, he directed Godzilla Final Wars versus The Midnight Meat Train, The Doorman, No One Lives, Downrange, Nightmare Cinema, Azumi, Lupin the Third. Wait, what? He directed that movie? Like the fucking live action movie? That movie was kind of fucking poop. Anyway.
Alright. Well,
just so you know, CBS renewed Young Sheldon for 3 more seasons, so that was one of my news articles that you guys can take to your graves.
Alright, here I go.
I hope nothing happens. Okay, last thoughts, Kevin?
Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Yeah, we'll have to do it
fun,
again. When you nominate a movie, we'll see what you nominate, and if it's a movie, we'll say hell yeah. I'm like, this wasn't a fucking movie!
It's a commercial.
I know what I'm gonna pick next time. Black Snake Moan!
I'm gonna get the off-brand Walt, like, fucking version Black Snake growl. You're like, the whole movie, I just layer growls under the tracks. You're like, dude, this is the most fucking annoying movie to watch. You were like, it's like, it's like, fuck. They're like stock. Grrr. Okay. Anything left to say, Matt?
Nope, it was fun.
Okay. Well, until next time, guys, this is signing out. Like I said, we're doing Midnight Meat Train, and next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully it's a good movie. So,
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Later. And thank you for joining us. And thanks, Protocaster, for nominating Godzilla versus King Kong.